This is Algebra 1, Lesson 3. Our objective is, how do you simplify exponential expressions? So that's what our goal is by the end of this, is we should be able to know how to simplify exponential expressions. In order to do that, I guess we need to recall what an exponential expression might look like. We need to remember that the number on the bottom, the big number, is what we call the base. The small number up in the top right-hand corner is what we call the exponent. It's in the superscript. It's called the exponent. This 5 to the third, or 5 cubed, means 5 times itself 3 times. It means you're going to multiply 5 times 5 times 5. Or if you want to do that, would be 25 times 5, which would give you that 125 as an answer. Looking a little bit further at what the base looks like. Remember, our base in this case was just 5. Let's look over here on the right. Notice this one here, our base is actually -3. And the exponent in this case is 4. So if we were to write that out, if we're going to solve that, this would mean -3 times -3 times -3 times -3. And multiply those two, -3 times -3 would give you +9. Same idea with those two, so it would be +9 times +9, which would give you 81. So this would be equal to 81. However, look at this next one here we have below it. It looks almost the same, -3 to the fourth, and here this is -3 to the fourth. If you just heard me say that, it sounded like I said the same thing, but notice this top one has parentheses, this bottom one does not. That means that this bottom one, the base is actually just 3, whereas the base on the top one is -3. So this one down here would be said, if we were to write it out, it would be -3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Notice 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. I said 9 and wrote 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 9 is 81. But this would then come out to be -81. Because that negative sign, as I wrote here, is not part of the base, because doesn't have parentheses around it. So just kind of watch out for that as we work through this and as you work on your homework. Coming down here to some examples. This one here, B, would be 0.3 times 0.3 times 0.3 times 0.3. And you could go through and work that out. And notice you would get 0.0081. Because 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 gives you that 81 like we did earlier. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 different decimal places, so it would move over 1, 2, 3, 4. This one, of course, would be 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. Notice there's 5. Exponent is 5, so therefore I wrote 5 of those out there. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32, so it's going to be 1 over 32. 1 over 32. And then this last one is 10 cubed. Again, the base would be 10, the exponent would be 3, so this would be 10 times 10 times 10. 10 times 10 is 100, times 10 again is going to give me 1,000. Alright, now there is a product property of exponents. Product property of exponents. And we'll fill this in just a second, but let's come down here and look at this. If I had 5 to the fourth times 5 to the third, or 5 cubed, that's what it would look like this if I expanded it. Notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of those because the exponent is 4. Notice there's 1, 2, 3 of these because this exponent is 3. So if I were to simplify this, notice there's altogether 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. So this would be 5 to the 7th. 5 to the 7th. And notice this does only work if the bases are the same, meaning this is a 5 and this is a 5, so I could do that. If this is a 5 and this is a 6, I couldn't simplify it down to that. So our rule, our property here, says that if I have x to the m and I'm multiplying it by x to the n, and this is just going to simply be x to the m plus n. Notice over here the 7 is 4 plus 3. 4 plus 3 is equal to 7, so that's how we got that exponent. So these x's are the base. Notice the bases have to match. And then you just simply add those exponents to get the new exponent. So let's just try that out real quick. The same thing will work with 3 numbers. Here, this is example 2a. X to the 5th times x to the 7th times x squared. That's simply going to be x to the 5 plus 7 plus 2. Well, 5 plus 7 would be 12, plus 2 more would be 14. So it's going to be x to the 14th would be my answer. Part B. Part B, notice these 3 have bases of m, and these 2 have bases of n. So let's look at these first 3. This is going to be m to the 3 plus 2 plus 4 multiplied by n to the 6 plus 7. Well, 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 4 more is going to be 9. This is going to be m to the 9th times n to the 6 plus 7 is 13. So you could write it like that with the multiplication dot in there, or you can write it without, which is how I'm going to write it. M to the 9th, n to the 13th. That's going to be your answer there. Notice down here on the bottom is your homework. You're going to do, starts on page 14. And you're going to do all of them that have the little parenthesis with a 3 underneath it. So that means all 3's. And you do all of them with a parenthesis with 2 underneath it. I believe that gives you like 13 of them, and then you get to pick any 7 more that you want. So all of them with a 3, all of them with a 2, and then 7 more of your choice. Hope you understood. Feel free to watch it again.